HTC today announced two new mobile phones. The first one is here on the front, the smaller one, the U Play, and on the back side here you see the big one, the U Ultra. Both will be available in these four colors here, that classical black, and this is my favorite, blue. The backside material, by the way, is glass, but a special glass, several layers of colored glass, and you have that metal frame around here, and look at these reflections. That's a deep, dark blue. I love this one. And you will have a pink model, cosmetic pink, and ice white, it's called like that, but it looks more like pearl, I'd say, because it's not completely white. Depending on how the reflection of the lights are, it looks like sometimes a little bit like red and then like blue and a little bit green. I love this one most because you do not see the fingerprints. As you remember, glass on the backside is always two problems. First of all are the fingerprints, and second is what happens in case it drops. On both problems, HTC has worked. For example, here, that metal frame runs around, and then that's a special kind of glass because it's curved on the edges here in three different axes, and especially they put on a special layer of whatever onto it on the backside and on the front, what's helping to wipe away these fingerprints. I now did 3 times, and you see almost nothing. And let me go to the blue one here, because this one is the most reflecting one I find. So you see, I hope so at least, all these fingerprints here. And let me now 1 and 2, and it's really almost gone. So it's really helping. So a big hint in this situation here, do not use any materials, especially no chemical materials, just a dry piece of tissue like this one here, wipe it away, and it's really no problem, and you have a clean backside here. Otherwise you could risk to ruin that film on the back and front side, but that's just on behalf of the colors here. So white one, but you should know that the white one on the front has that black here. So you have to like this, but you have that silver metal frame around here. And in case you're wondering why I show you all these phone models here just with a black display, that's the promise here not to show anything of the software in video. Otherwise I wouldn't have been allowed to make this video here. So you see in the stills, you see the user interface, and here on the video, sorry for that, just that black screen. So you can only see on the still the very special thing about that one here, but let me wipe the front a little bit more so that you can see at least what's black. And that's first of all here that big huge screen, 5.7 inch, and on top here on the right you have a second screen, 2 inches big here. Both are Super LCD, and you might know the second screen concept from some LG models. I like that very much because the main screen can stay dark, so no power consumption, and just for having what's the clock or is there a new text message or whatever is completely enough. That second touch screen over here, or for changing the music title you're listening to or whatever. So you have all you need in that little one here, and only if you need it you put on the big one here. Yeah, 5.7 inch with that one, and on the small one on the Play it's 5.2, and you do not have that second screen here, but it's competing from the prices here coming at the end of this video, so you'll understand that here this is the smaller one. But do not underestimate the smaller ones, because 5.2 inch, for me at least, I find personal completely enough, especially in one-hand usage. And think of this one here, you have that navigation now not on screen but below the screen, finally. And you have back and task manager, and in the middle here that's no mechanical haptical button, it's just a sensor field here, and of course fingerprint sensor and home button here. So you have gross for net or net for gross like you want it. For me, completely enough, you can use it much better in one-hand usage, and especially that reach this fingerprint sensor here on the lower end. And normally I prefer that fingerprint sensor on the backside, you know, because you do not have to change very much your finger grip. Here on these big ones, you have to be careful that it's not dropping or at least tilting a little bit on the head. So you have to change your grip. You have to know how to keep it and to hold it, that then you can reach on the front that fingerprint sensor. But just by the way, here on both, you will see once more that HTC has made its focus on the camera and on multimedia. Let's start with the big one here with the Ultra, because this one is a 12 megapixels camera, but you know these Ultra pixels from HTC, the diodes here 1.55 micrometers, so very bright and very gathering a lot of light, like the lens is doing, because this one is an aperture of f1.8. That's kind of good for smartphones. And you have sapphire glass lens on the backside here. Right below that two-tone LED here on the backside, you see that dark field. That's a laser autofocus, and of course you have face detection plus that classical contrast method. You have 4K videos on the backside and tons of features. Just one, for example, you can have RAW photos, or very interesting automatic HDR, meaning you have that optimal contrast enhancer automatically if it's needed, if you want to. And that makes something with, if you have low light situations, for example, because you have 3 pictures and you can detect very good with the software then what kind of pixels are real pixels and which one is grain from the photo and from to less light. And then you will get, at least HTC is telling here at the moment with this auto HDR mode, better photos in low light situations. We will see. And that is working on the front, by the way, the same 16 megapixels, and you have this auto HDR also. Plus you can have it's called ultra pixel mode. That means you have 16 megapixels, but you can change the settings to 4 megapixels. Then you have 4 times oversampling. You know that from the main camera, at least from some Nokia phones, for example. So this is promising better selfies quality here. Video, by the way, on the front here with 1080p. Below the hatch is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 828, so you have 4 cores, 2.2 gigahertz, and then we have to see because of the internal memory. You have 4 gigabyte of RAM, of working memory, but there are 2 different versions. This one is a standard version with 64 gigabyte internal memory, expandable up to 2 terabyte, and then there will be a special edition. That means you have 128 gigs of internal memory, also expandable, plus sapphire glass on the front. You know that from your watch, wristwatch, for example. So very hard, very solid, even more than this Gorilla Glass 5 here. So this one will be more expensive, of course, but we're coming to this. You also should know both have Type-C USB. This one is standard 3.0, and the small one, the Play one, the now normal USB 2.0. But both do not have any 3.5 millimeters headphone jack. So you cannot insert your old headphone, so you need that adapter, and it's not inserted in the box normally, but just costing a few bucks. So if you want to use your old headset, you will need to buy that. But HTC is saying that's a good reason why we're not doing this, because inside of the box, in both with the Ultra and the Play, you will find at least HTC is calling that high quality headphone called U Sonic, meaning it has a microphone included. If you attach it here on the Type-C USB connector, then it will measure your ear and the surrounding, the noises around you, and then putting out the most optimal sound as possible on your headphone. And it's taken just a second or less, just a tip, and then reconfigure this one. So if you change your surrounding, so for example, if you're leaving a plane or entering it, then just tap on it and you will have the optimal quality on the phone. We will have to test that, of course, with the final devices, how the quality of that headphone really is like, but it makes sense at least how HTC is telling that decision that there is no adapter here for 3.5 millimeters. With that coming to the prices and to Android 7.0 pre-installed here. So it's not completely final. Here in Germany, Europe, we will have a price around about $699, maybe up to $749 for the standard version with 64 gigabyte. And the special edition with the double memory and that sapphire glass on the front will be, at least I guess so, $899 for the moment recommended here. Retail price, like always, including tax, and may vary depending on your country. And when we are on the prices, let's come to the U Play here. That's available in two versions also. So here the standard version has 32 gigabyte internal memory. Like I told you, expandable up to 2 terabyte, will cost round about, let's say, $399, maybe €449. Germany, Europe once more. And the big one, international, available in some regions, in some markets, is also a 64 gigabyte version. And that has then not 3, but 4 gigabyte of working memory. I do not have any price for that, but I guess some 50, 70, 80, 90, $100 more. Hard to tell at the moment, but we will see that, I guess, at least unless these phones are available. And that's information you will also want to know here. The Play is coming round about, depending on markets, of course, but starting globally end of February, maybe lately beginning of March. The Ultra is coming a little bit sooner and starting, mid-end February. But we have some specs to do here for the small ones. Like I already told you, this is 5.2-inch Full HD, and on the big one, we have 1440 by 2560 pixels. So here, different resolution and not the second screen, but also that Super LCD here. You have a little bit different camera, not these ultra pixels, so smaller diodes on the sensor, 1 instead of 1.55 micrometers, and a different lens over here with an aperture of 2 instead of 1.8, so a little bit different, but you have these classical 16 megapixels camera instead of these 12 megapixels ultra pixels. So a little bit different from the quality, I guess, but we have all the specs I told you, like this RAW and HDR automatic here on that price range. This is very interesting, I guess, including that face detection autofocus. Missing 4K videos. Well, okay, who really needs it? I wouldn't, but that's kind of your decision, of course. On the front, we have the very same 16 megapixels camera, like I told you, with all the specifications like on the big Ultra here. The processor is a little bit different. It's a MediaTek Helio P10, so you have 8 cores, 2 gigahertz, 3 gigabyte of RAM, like I told you, on the small, and on the 64 gigabyte version, 4 gigabyte of RAM. So powerful too, and especially you have once more here this internal memory plus expandable with a micro SD card, and also dual SIM with 2 nano SIMs you can have here. Little different is 4G. You have 300 megabits, 600 megabits, forget about that. You have Wi-Fi SC, so meaning including 5 gigahertz band, Wi-Fi N. And you have Android 6.01 here. That's the last difference instead of 7. So it's coming, the update. I do not know when, so don't ask, please. But I guess HTC will bring the update to Android Nougat as soon as possible. This is now, I hope so, at least enough for first impression here. I'm really impressed about especially the haptics and optics of this one here, and I hope I can get one to make a final review as soon as possible, including a drop test, of course, but at the end of the regular test, I guess, because you never know what happens, but I really love it just from the design. So I hope this is enough for the first information here from the launch of the HTC U Play and U Ultra. Thanks for watching, and would you please be so kind to rate this video, and maybe you even leave a sub and your opinion in the comments. Thanks for that in advance. Take care and bye.